Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, the creepy, and the strange.
And I drink.
So what are we drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight, well, today, it's Sunday again, is Space Lettuce Double IPA. It's from Monday Night Brewing in Atlanta, Georgia. 8.1% alcohol by volume. Let's read the can. Heady, sticky, intergalactic. And that's it. What I have to say about it, it's off-puttingly sweet, like it's actually too sweet. It doesn't go with the normal bitterness that comes in an IPA, and sadly, I don't really enjoy it. Not at all. But with that being said, it's not bad. Like, it's perfectly fine to be, you can stomach it, but it is not one of my favorites. It's not undrinkable. I gave it a 6 out of 10. You know, it's okay. What? You don't like my scoring?
It's just you're always incredibly polite to beers that you think are gross.
It's not gross, though. It's just not.
But still, like your personal rating system, I want to know what it would take to really get you to, like, just tell a beer that it's disgusting.
Probably sewage.
I was going to say, like,
there.
You could probably pee in a bottle and hand it to you, and you'd be like, yeah, it's got some weird astringent tones. It kind of tastes like piss, but you know what?
Or a beer brewed with cilantro. That would work.
You'd just be like, oh, it tastes like piss, but you know what? 4 out of 5.
I mean, most beers are kind of pissy. Let's be honest. It's a little pissy. But this is, it's just not very good to me. But I imagine there's some people that like it. It's the high alcohol content just makes it too sweet.
Yeah.
To go with the bitterness.
But anything that's real high grav is going to be real sweet because of the high grav. So.
Right. It's just not one of my faves. So anyway, but that is redeemed by the shot in the dark because we have it in our coffee. It's a banana pudding Appalachain Sippin cream, produced and bottled by Sugarlands Distilling Company LLC in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. 20% alcohol by volume. And if you want to hear the full review, it's been on 3 or 4 times now. Because when Sunday happens, we're like, hey, coffee creamer, perfect. Refer to episode 138 called A Real Live Dead Guy for that full review. It's a 10 out of 10. It's just fantastic, and I completely recommend it, especially if you're having a Sunday fun day and just drinking coffee. So the episode will be probably a little late today when it comes out, but quickly and easily, that is it for the alcohols today, Leah. Let's address a couple of things before we get into the episode proper.
Okay.
First and foremost will be Leah's hair, if you're watching the video. And that is, look, I'll let her take over, but she bleached her hair to color it, and she didn't bleach it very well, according to her. I don't know. And I call it well-fed meth head. Like, it's someone that just started doing meth, so it hasn't taken its effects yet, but it's enough in your brain to make you go, my hair looks better this way. So
yeah, so I've had that, so I haven't had my hair cut, colored, done anything to it in 18 months because A, I'm poor, and B, pandemic. So, well, probably A, pandemic, and B, I'm poor, but at any rate, I decided that I wanted to do something different. It looked kind of haphazard because the green was only in the ends, because it started out like that bleach was at sort of, it was like a faded balayage sort of in the beginning, but then all of that faded out. Anyway.
I don't know what that means.
My point is it got super duper grown out, and I wanted to like do an all over color again because I'm planning on dyeing my hair like a purpley magenta kind of color. And so I was like, okay, I've never done bleach at home, but you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a shit about my hair, and if it burns off, it burns off, and I'll just find someone to give me a haircut. So I went in valiantly with the bleach, and apparently I missed a lot of spots. So I've got sort of this yellow blonde with a little bit of patchy orange in the front, and then I've got like a hairline that's kind of brown because I didn't get close enough to my skin for that. And then like when you part the hair, I've got a big chunk of like brown still on one side. Anyway, and then of course the green just lightened out a little bit. It didn't actually completely go away. But thankfully, the purple that I'm covering it with should cover the green without a problem. So I've got to go back in today, bleach the spots that I missed, try to tone out some of those yellow moments, and then we're going to go purple. But yes, right now I look like a meth head pineapple, and it's fine.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Did I go out into public yesterday looking like this? Yeah,
sure
hell
as
yeah,
shit
I did.
Sure as shit went to the optometrist looking
Went
like
to
that.
the eye doctor, picked out a new pair of glasses, and yeah.
And the lady fitting the glasses was like, yeah, they look real good with that hair. She didn't say that.
No, she didn't. It was rough, but you know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna make it through. By hook or by crook, we're gonna have purple hair by the end of today.
Well,
might not be good purple hair, but it will be purple.
So if you're watching the video, that's why Leah looks
insane.
Like that. I also want to take a very quick moment to just acknowledge Norm Macdonald passed this past week. He died, and he was a major. I was a huge fan of Norm Macdonald. Leah doesn't like that I watch YouTube videos with Norm Macdonald all the time.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I really don't care for his humor.
Yeah. Well, I understand, but I just want to say one of my favorite things, not the most favorite thing that I have, because I don't have that, as we all know. But one of my favorite things was on his YouTube show called Norm Macdonald Live. He had on Larry King, and I don't know the backstory because I don't remember. But Larry King was telling a story about English and homonyms and stuff, and Larry King said, and that's why English is the hardest language. There was a little beat, and Norm goes, for me, it's the easiest. And that's it. It was very funny to me, and it remains very funny to me. That's it. That's all that I have.
Okay.
I'm going to miss Norm Macdonald, Leah.
I'm sure you are, and I think it's, really sad that he passed away as young as he did, but...
Yeah.
Like
let me step on his grave real quick, because that's what Leah does.
I'm not stepping on anybody's grave. I think he was a really influential person in comedy. That's not the kind of comedy that I'm interested in. It's fine. Like, I know he influenced lots of comedians, and that's great. And I'm not shitting on anything that he did. I just wasn't a fan. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I am. I remain a big fan. And it sucks. So, I was just very surprised. Like everybody. Nobody knew he was sick, so... yeah, it's really sad. That's it. That's all that I have, Leah.
All right, with that bummer out of the way, we've got postcards.
Yay, postcards.
Listener mail.
And honestly, these could have been there for a while. We checked the mailbox for the first time about a week ago. In a while.
So we've got listener mail.
Listener mail. I forgot.
One is dated from August and... Yeah, 2 from August and 1 from July. So we'll start with the July one first. And it's an awesome Mothman postcard. Really like that.
Yeah, that's cute. I haven't read these yet, so I don't know what is in them or who they're from.
So this says, hey, Mitch and Leah.
Hey.
I went to the Mothman Museum in Mount Pleasant today and thought this postcard might be a nice addition to your collection. You were correct.
It is.
Thanks for all the work you do. You put into the podcast, Beth. P.S. Please give my utmost regards to your booze cat. Steven!
Steve, come here.
Regards.
If we call him, he'll come. Steve, come here.
No,
all right, give it a minute.
As
he'll
I
come
say,
in.
he's in a fuck off kind of mood because I wouldn't pet him this morning. But anyway, but yeah, fantastic postcard. Love that.
Thank you,
right.
Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
I am putting that with the rest of them. I've gotten a few Mothman, and I'm going to have to sort of group them together. I really want to go to the Mothman Museum, guys. Like, that's
I was
that's
just
on the
about to
bucket
say
list.
that. I would love to do that. You said in Mount Pleasant, so that's North Carolina?
No, West Virginia, sweetie. Did you not pay attention at all during the Mothman episode?
Leah, first of all, we've discussed this. Secondly, I drink every episode. Why do you...
I mean, so do I, but I remember all the shit.
Every time, because you research it. Every time that we do this, and you go, how do you not remember that? I'm like, Leah, number one, this is episode number 170. Number two, we've been doing it for 4.5 years. Right. Number three, I'm usually at least halfway inebriated when we get done. So no, I don't remember a goddamn thing.
Oh, I remember.
That's why
all
I
of
write
the
shit
things,
down
so.
on my computer while we're doing it.
Anyway, so our second postcard is from Eureka Springs, Arkansas, where the Crescent Hotel and Spa is.
Ooh.
And the postcard is of the Crescent Hotel and Spa. How beautiful is that? Yeah, super duper haunted. We also did an episode about that, if you don't remember.
I have no idea.
Anyway.
You said in Utah? Why would we do that?
No, it's in Arkansas.
Arkansas. I heard Utah.
Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Anyway, this one says, "Hi y'all. My BFF and I just got back from our annual trip to Eureka Springs is a cool town. Lots of hippie vibes and tons of good coffee. We toured the Crescent, and though we didn't see anything ourselves, the building is gorgeous. We didn't hit any local breweries, but the food scene is lit. Cheers,
go.
Bonnie from Arkansas. And P.S. Norman Baker can eat a bag of dicks."
Who's Norman Baker? Why should I know that name?
From Psycho.
Oh, was that in Arkansas?
No, but the hotel is like it's based.
I don't get it.
It's okay. You just everybody else gets it though, so it's fine.
Norman Bates was the name of the guy.
Oh shit. I am wrong. Norman Baker is the guy that actually I am very wrong on
Yeah,
this
what the
one.
fuck are you talking about, Leah?
Sorry.
Get off my nuts.
Oh, squishy nuts. Norman Baker is the guy who ran so they built this hotel as a tuberculosis
Quarantine
treatment facility.
Okay.
And he's the one who basically came up with all sorts of bullshit treatments and took a lot of people's money and held people like captive as tuberculosis treatment people. Yeah. He's the one that was behind all of that bullshit and what caused all of the haunting. So not Norman Bates. That was the Stanley Hotel. I'm fucking tired, y'all.
It's Sunday.
But anyway, there's fuck me, y'all. We sat outside in the rain watching like junior high football yesterday for like an hour and a half. And I am very phlegmy from that. So much apologies. My brain is not functioning today.
Okay. We can go to the next card.
But
I get it. Yeah.
Stop
Norman
asking
Baker.
questions, asshole. Anyway, this next one is from the Sasquatch Museum in Georgia, I believe. And this postcard is, quote, of a little girl with a Sasquatch doll circa 1900s. And it is a creepy-ass little photo.
It is. I saw the picture.
The girl's creepy, and she's got this little Bigfoot doll. I like it. Anyway, it says, "Hey y'all, greetings from Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Hey.
I'm here on vacation, living my best Southern Spirits life, hanging out at the Sasquatch Museum, telling ghost stories around the campfire, and drinking peach moonshine. Ooh. Firefly Distillery, South Carolina."
Ooh,
out of a coffee cup because vacation rentals never have the right stuff in their kitchens. Amen.
Correct.
Anyway, hope y'all are having a lovely summer. This one's from Kristen Paulson, and it says, "P.S. Please look up Jessica White, the Dancing Outlaw, for a wonderful, weird, true story."
I want to see that.
And I do know that story, and I've never done it on the podcast, so we might have to do it.
Yeah, it's been requested. Now you got to do it.
All right.
See, that was about summer, and that probably could have been a month ago.
No, this one was the most recent one, and it is actually probably a month ago, but it's date stamped August 11th. So,
well, on top of that, stuff doesn't show up in our PO box for like people tell us, "Hey, I sent something," and we go check.
Yeah,
like twice a week because we're not going out of the way. The post office is on the way home.
Yeah,
so it's not like we're going out of the way to check when y'all say we've sent you stuff, but like. Shit just doesn't show up in our post office box.
Yeah, the mail has been really... Because I mail out
happening.
really time-sensitive, important shit for my job, and like that shit never gets there. Like our postal service around here is really fucked up. But, whatever, rolling with it. Anyway, so those were our postcards. Thank you so much to everybody that sent one in. It is so exciting and lovely to get mail of any sort that isn't like a bill, and I super love postcards. So much appreciated to everyone that sent one. And if you do want to send one from anywhere in the country or outside the country, I love postcards. So our P.O. Box is P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama 35640. If anybody wants to send a postcard, don't feel obligated, but I love postcards.
I don't have to do that in the outro now.
No, it's exciting.
I'm going to do it now.
So let's move on to our sassy Southern saying.
Yay! Go ahead.
Right. And the saying I picked this week is "fixin' to."
Fixin' to?
Yeah, as in I'm fixing to go take a nap, y'all. Fixin' to.
Yeah. With stuff like this, I don't know why it's one of those things that I've hyper fixated on. But from the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, when Jeff Foxworthy was doing his Southern Sayings part of that, I like 3-4 times a week, I think about Witcha Did Ya, and it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. From that movie, it just sticks in my brain. You didn't bring your truck with you, did you? And I'm like, why I don't even think it's funny. Why is that in my head? But it's the same thing. Like, it's just a way to say shit, and it's just, God damn it, Leah. I'm so upset.
Why?
I don't know. I hate Jeff Foxworthy. I don't know what's wrong with me.
But, like, this literally has nothing to do with Jeff Foxworthy. I know, but it got
in my brain. God damn it. And it just means I'm about to. Yeah. I'm on the way to do something.
Yeah, it's the verb for I'm about to, I'm going to, I'm intending to. It's going to happen. I am actively preparing to make it happen. Yeah. Fix into. And actually, like a more recent AAVE slang term has been a lot more popular in the more mainstream stuff. That's sort of an adjacent word to this one is finna. Yeah. And that's the same thing. So if you're
did you say AEV? What is AEV?
African American Vernacular English.
Okay, I'm sorry.
AAVE.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, it's something that has become a lot more mainstream because once Black people make something cool and interesting, white people have to try to do it too, and it gets weird. Mm-hmm. But yeah, initially it's sort of a truncation of fix into, and it's finna. So it's a newer, I guess, sort of evolution of that particular word. And that word is mostly used. It's not even the entire South fix into. It's a lot more of the Gulf states and sort of the Atlantic Gulf states. It's not even really, Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky. Like, that's a lot less likely to be a thing up there. It's very much more vocabulary to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, that kind of region. So, fix into. So that's a fun thing. And I have, when I was living in New York and I was working for, the creature shop, they would ask me a question. Yeah, I'm fixing to go, whatever. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Fixing to. Anyway. So yeah, that's our Southern saying for the evening.
Interesting. I didn't know that the New York people were like, shut your fucking uncultured mouth with your bullshit.
They were very, very nice to me about it. But like, if I said something weird or I'm bad about popping in like one of those weird Southern idioms, and they would look at me like, oh my God, you yokel, you're hilarious. Say it again. And so I got asked to say things a lot. For whatever reason, they like the way I said umbrella. Yeah. Very strange, but whatever.
Did you say bumbershoot? Is that why?
I didn't. Okay. I did not.
Leah was up there during Hurricane Sandy, and she was like, man, this is a frog strangler.
That probably did come out at one point. So.
You know how weird that is to talk about? Because you use that as a slang term.
Yeah.
A little, like a couple weeks ago. And it's one of those things that happened in my life that, like, I experienced it for the first time right here on the show. And then I heard it 6 times throughout the next week. I'd never heard it before. And then I heard it because I think it was right around the time of Ida.
Yeah.
Because that's why you brought it up. Mm-hmm. And then I heard on TV, I heard on the internet, I heard so many other people say it. I was like, what? Where has this term been forever? And now I'm getting all of it at once.
It's just once you're aware of it, it sticks in your brain a little bit more. So
I can say with confidence I had never heard frog strangler before, or toad strangler.
Toad strangler.
I'd never heard that, ever. I don't. And I 100% confidence. No one has ever said it in my presence. Ever.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well. Good to know that our sassy Southern sayings are making an impact in somebody's life.
Hey, they're working.
All right. Well, let's go on to our story number 1 for the evening or the morning, as the case may be. And we're going to talk about the Allen House from Monticello, Arkansas.
There's a Monticello in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Fucking what?
Yeah, it's not just... where's the other one? Virginia?
Yeah.
Virginia.
Is it like a Greenville where every state has a Monticello because there was a famous one?
Probably. That would be my guess. Because a lot of, like, there's a Huntsville there's several Huntsvilles, you know what I mean? Like, there's one in Texas. There's
there's several Montgomerys too.
Yeah, so it's not. It's just one of those things that's just not a unique name because Anyway,
I guess so. Monticello sounds unique.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, there's 50 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are because, the one in Virginia is so famous. But at any rate, we are talking about the one in Arkansas. It has a big-ass haunted mansion in it, and I'm going to talk about it. Yay.
Yay.
All right, so John Lee Allen commissioned a man named Sylvester Hotchkiss in 1906 to, design and build this mansion.
Okay.
And Jolie Allen was a prominent businessman in the town. He had a fucking lot of money to spend, and he wanted to impress all of the clients and the business relations that he brings by. He wanted to have the biggest, the fanciest, the most ridiculous home. And yeah, that's what he got. It's sort of a Queen Anne meets Gothic revival kind of house. It's very pretty. And it ended up being 8,500 square feet. Because that's a big-ass house.
Yeah. Our house is, what, 1,300?
Yeah, something
1,200?
like that. I think it's 12, but 12 or 13, I really don't remember. But it's not very big is all I'm saying. And this mansion is fucking massive.
Very little squares in this house.
Very few squares. Yeah. But yeah, so it ended up being just sort of this gorgeous house, but the entire family ran into a bunch of bullshit that just, there's a lot of misfortunes that ended up happening in this particular home. And the one that we're going to talk about today specifically is his daughter. So in 1948, his daughter Liddell Allen recently was divorced, and divorce was very rare in those days. And anyway, something pretty bad had to happen to her to have been divorced at this point. Not sure exactly what it was, but she was recently divorced. And she ends up moving home to Monticello, Arkansas at the age of 45 to take care of her mom. Her mom had recently been widowed, so Jolie had died. And her mother, was kind of ill and needed someone to help out around the house. So her divorced daughter moves back into her childhood, home, moves back into her old space, and she starts, taking care of the estate and her mom and that kind of thing. But, she's lonely at this point. She's a recent divorcee, and she's single and ready to mingle, I suppose. And she ends up running into her high school sweetheart. His name was Prentice Hemingway Savage.
Ooh, nice.
And he was also back in Monticello visiting family. But it turns out he was actually married at the time still, and he was working as an executive at Texaco in Minnesota. So he was just in town for a little while to visit family, and his wife was elsewhere. But they hooked up in Monticello, got to know each other again, started flirting and that kind of thing. And once he, left Arkansas again to go back home to Minnesota, they started this long, torrid letter writing affair. And they, wrote all of these dozens and dozens of letters back and forth, talking about how much they were into each other. And eventually they decided to come up with a plan for they decided to come up with this plan to have him leave his wife and family and run away with her on Christmas. And as no one will be surprised, that clearly did not pan out, because no prominent businessman is going to leave his family in a secure situation in order to go fuck some rando from high school. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, he can lead her on. I was going to say, he can lead her on as much as possible, but dudes like that just don't leave their wives. It's not, Liddell, honey, it's not going to happen, and it did not. So he, quote, faked a business trip and went on a 2-week road trip from Arkansas to Minnesota. And they, had a trip together. And like I said, the map of this, so all of these letters and how they figured out all what was going on between these people, it's because all of the letters and personal ephemera were found in the floorboards when they were redoing this house. So all of these letters, there was a map of like the road trip that they took together. Still, like all of this shit still exists and is displayed in the home today. Because like I said, it was all still there. But after lots of communication back and forth and lots of promises on his part to Liddell, he totally was like, babe, can't, sorry.
Look, high school was a weird time for all of us.
Like, I mean,
Look,
you're cute and all, but I've got like shit going on in Minnesota and I'm totally not leaving that shit to come be with you. So obviously this left Liddell incredibly upset to the point where she was just like, fuck everything, I'm out. So she realized that he had completely rejected her. She was left, alone again. And that Christmas, she decided to make a bit of a statement.
Oh.
So the Liddells, not the Liddells, the Allens were known for holding an annual giant Christmas party at this house, this big Christmas ball kind of situation.
Okay.
And her mother was known for being a hostess, throwing, elaborate, gorgeous parties and stuff like that. So during this party, she decided to unalive herself.
What does that mean?
She committed suicide.
Oh,
she
okay.
unalived herself. She goes up to her bedroom. She has snacks. So she's got a glass of punch and a whole big plate of snacks. And she goes up to her room and she commits suicide. So shot in the dark.
Oh, it's time. All right. We're going to load gun and shoot gun.
So how did she, complete that suicide? How'd she do it? Was it A, a hanging, B, a poisoning, or C, jumping from the balcony?
I think it's going to have to be dramatic, and that is jumping from the balcony. Right?
You'd think that, but no.
Oh, son of a bitch.
She actually ends up poisoning herself with mercury cyanide. And take that shot.
Mercury cyanide?
Mercury cyanide.
Is that extra cyanide?
Well, so
I know mercury poisoning is a thing, but I didn't think it was immediate.
See, and that's the issue.
Oh,
so
shit.
Mercury
I don't like
cyanide.
where this is going.
So mercury cyanide at the time was being used as an over-the-counter treatment for syphilis. So it was readily available. She could get a hold of it. And both of those compounds are toxic, but if taken at certain levels, it's not toxic enough to kill you. And it apparently was just enough to toxicity to treat the syphilis a little bit.
Yeah.
And so she took a bunch of this mercury cyanide, but it wasn't strong enough to kill her immediately. So she spent a week in the hospital slowly dying of mercury cyanide poisoning.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it took her till January the 2nd of 1949 to pass away in absolute utter agony because she had not picked a poison that took her quickly. It was a slow, agonizing, painful in the hospital death for her.
Jesus fucking Christ, Leah.
And after she died, her mother, Katie Allen, sealed her room up and just no one went in there, didn't touch anything, literally did not move anything. When they unsealed that portion of the home after it was purchased to renovate, they found the snacks and the punch cup still there in the room from the night that from the party that she brought that stuff up there and killed herself with. The ghost snacks were still up there,
The
creepy as fuck. I hate it. I don't like it at all. But yeah, she sealed it up. Nobody at all went into that room. It existed exactly how Liddell left it on the night that she committed suicide.
Oh my God, you know what it reminds me of?
That video game?
Yeah, you remember that game? I think it's called
Finch?
What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah.
And Leah watched it. It's one of those walking simulators where you are experiencing the story. You don't do anything in the game. It's just a way to tell a story. And Leah watched as I played it. And it's that. Every time somebody in the family died in this house, they sealed that room so that nothing changed, and it's pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah,
and it's not a scary game.
No.
It's not, but it's
eerie, but it's not like a
eerie.
jump scary creepy thing.
It's exactly the word I was looking for is eerie, but this sounds fucking creepy.
Yeah, it is. It is super creepy. Yeah, they sealed that entire room, and no one opened that section until like the family sold the house like 30 years later. So, super creepy. Do not like it. Yeah, I don't like it at all. But yeah. So obviously Liddell decided to haunt the house after she died of the poisoning.
Obviously.
Because, I mean, fucking why not? If
Obviously.
I'm going to go out in a weird, dramatic way, I'm coming back, y'all, and we're going to haunt everybody's ass.
Obviously, yeah.
Just, ugh. So anyway, that home was sold, and it had been used as like, apartment buildings. It had been used as like a community center kind of thing. Like lots of things had happened to this house over the years, but it kind of fell into disrepair. But a couple, I believe the Spencers, in 2007, eventually talked whoever had it, into like selling it to them, and they were going to renovate the whole thing. So they did. And they refurbished all of the original furniture. They, found all of these artifacts that were from all over there. So they literally are the ones that unearthed all of these, love letters between her and that other guy. They found, the original ghost snacks. They sort of found a bunch of stuff that sort of pieced together the family history of what was going on in the house. And of course, anytime you fuck with someone's house, ghosts don't like it. Any kind of renovation or something like that in these stories tends to, really exacerbate paranormal activity. So of course they start, experiencing some things. Initially they, start seeing their son places that he just wasn't. So like doppelganger activity. They would see him, out in the backyard when he was actually in his bedroom or that kind of thing. Super creepy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Apparently, the sounds of a crying baby aren't unusual when there's like no babies in the household. They say that they can hear, footsteps in the attic when obviously there's no one in there. They see, or they have heard people calling your names in one particular bathroom. Like, it's super spooky bullshit, but they're like, nothing's malevolent here. Everybody's pretty chill. It's just, some mild, like, footsteps on a hallway, weird, creepy stuff, but nothing like malevolent. Nothing's angry to be there, So it's just a fun haunted house. Apparently they've Ghost Hunters has been there. A couple of the other paranormal shows have been there and done, investigations there. And they've, I think, 6 different ghosts that they've identified, one being the Liddell woman herself. But they've identified these other spirits and stuff. And apparently there's one ghost that freaks me out a little bit because I don't like it. It's a dark black outline of a man that resembles a cowboy, because I guess he's walking in boots, and the woman who lives there calls him the Shadow Man. And
Jesus.
Nope, I don't want shadow people anywhere near me. Fuck off.
No shadow people.
I can handle doppelganger children, no problem. But as soon as a shadow starts moving towards me, I will nope the fuck out, because I watched Princess and the Frog and I know what that's about, and absolutely not. Just no. That is.
That's your favorite Disney movie.
It is. It is my absolute 100% favorite princess movie, and the Shadow Man is legitimately the most scary Disney villain. Period. Dr. Facilier is fucking amazing and scary.
That's the best song too. The best villain song.
Has one of the best. Y'all know I'm an absolute sucker for Randy Newman, so all that entire soundtrack is chef's kiss incredible. Like I said. I'm very happy anytime I get to watch that movie, and I haven't watched it in a while, so I need to go do that. But like I said, Shadow Man, absolutely not. Do not involve me with anything to do with shadow people. Nope.
I promise I won't involve you with it.
Thank you.
Me and my new shadow network.
Please don't say that. Anyway, but yeah, so they've got standard, rattling pipes and footsteps and that kind of thing. Sometimes they do guided tours. Now, it is a private residence, so most of the time completely inaccessible to the public because, don't come in my house. But they do have guided tours occasionally for historic home purposes, that kind of thing. And they say that people that have visited on these tours have felt being touched by ghosts, being pushed, that kind of thing. Super creepy. But they live there, and they think it's pretty okay. So, anyway. Oh, and the husband actually wrote a novelization of that story. So he kind of wrote this sort of dramatic tale of them hooking up, having this letter writing situation, and then her killing herself. And like I said, it's a whole book about that particular story. He used all of the primary sources that they found in the home to write a novel about this family. So
interesting.
That's available. So all of my sources from this story, there was an article from katv.com. Then they have a website about the house itself called allenhousemonticello.com. And then, of course, there was a write-up about the Allen family in the Encyclopedia of Arkansas. So, those are my sources, and that was my story. Yeah.
Are you sticking to it?
Not really. I mean, haunted mansions. Am I right?
You are so right. That is exactly what this story was about.
Mm-hmm.
Very nicely done, madam.
Correct.
All right. Well, I found that quite enjoyable, except for the whole mercury poisoning thing, where it took her a week to die.
Honestly, I think it was more the cyanide that got her than the mercury. Mercury is a heavy metal that takes a lot longer to collect in your body to cause damage. And you go a little bit fucking crazy before you get the dead sensations of that. Right. So I'm pretty sure it was the cyanide that got her and not the mercury. But, you know.
Yeah, you go just a little bit
I'm
crazy.
not a biologist. I don't know.
You're pretty close to a biologist.
It's not accurate. My degree is in costumes, so no, not bra. Not a biologist.
All right. Well, I think that it's time to take a little break, let the camera cool down. You think that's a good idea?
Sounds great to me. We will see you back here in literally just a second because you're not going to notice, but you know.
But we will.
Yeah. See you soon.
Because it's the morning.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Welcome back, everybody. We were just discussing lunch and how we have leftover Mexican food, and I'm really looking forward to it because I'm taking the fajitas I got and making them into nachos. And we discussed the efficacy of Leah squirting queso out of her tits. I wish that could happen, but it won't happen.
Private conversations are private conversations for a reason, sir.
I don't think it was private.
I'm pretty sure it's a private conversation.
When it's that hilarious, you share it with the world.
Yeah, well, if that was a possibility, we would have already
Yeah, we would be millionaires.
Yeah,
at least.
I think
maybe trillionaires by this point. The only woman in the world with queso tits.
I was gonna say, if you can lactate cheese dip, you're kind of the best person ever, I think.
You know, I just thought about something. If anyone in this relationship could do it, it would probably be me. They're full of something. I don't know what it is. It's probably cheese dip.
I'm fine with that.
Go ahead. That or cottage cheese, which is just way worse.
Yeah, no, not for that.
It's got in there and curdled. It was queso at one point, but I'm almost 34, so it's become cottage cheese.
I can't handle that. Please no.
The title of the episode is Cottage Cheese Tits.
No, it's not. Please don't do that to anybody. Blah. Anyway, so on that disgusting note, how about we get into our second story so I don't ever have to think about that again?
Oh, I'm bringing it up constantly after this.
Please don't.
Oh, go ahead.
Anyway, so we are going to do our second story of the evening. It's out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and we are going to be talking about a scam artist named Dan Tondevald, and this is something that I first saw in Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, fun.
And I always thought it was like a weird, awful story and intriguing and anyway, so
look, I love scam artist stuff.
Yeah, I know you do, and that's
I
why I
love the
pulled this
stories.
one. And I think this one might have been featured on that podcast Swindled that you like, but I'm not sure specifically. I feel like I remember listening to an episode that this story was like the opener story.
The podcast that I like, you introduced me to Swindled.
Yeah.
But I've also listened to every episode.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, I like this show, but like I'm not going to listen to it every single time, you know?
I listen
like,
every time one comes
but
out.
when I heard it, I was like, oh, this has got Mitchell written on it, all over it. And
Written
so
on it.
Yeah.
In queso tit cheese dip.
Please stop. So I showed you, and yeah, of course you enjoyed it.
Written in
like
tit
I said,
queso.
That kind of story isn't generally my favorite. I'm more into like the spookier stuff.
'em. But speaking of con stuff, you know what we need to watch is Lula Rich.
I've already watched it at
God
work.
damn it, Leah, tell me. I want to watch it.
I'm sorry. I mean, I will
Shit.
100% watch it again.
No,
I love
I'm going to
that
watch
shit.
it on my own at work. Fuck you and your queso tits.
How about we watch it while you're eating snacks?
Ooh,
okay?
okay.
Better? Okay. I follow the lady that was one of the main ladies that's in it on TikTok, and it's just been something because they had a Vice documentary about the people that were leaving LuLaRoe years ago, and anyway.
That's on Prime, right?
It is,
Yeah.
and it's a very interesting documentary, 10 out of 10. And there's one lady, like the only African American woman, and like they're interviewed because I think not a lot of not white people were doing that particular. Like there were a few, but there's just one line in the film or in the thing that she talks about that is just fucking hilarious. It's like, they were all being invited on this cruise ship for being like the top sellers, and she was one of the top sellers, and she was like, yeah, I declined to go on that boat because like I like white people, but I'm not going to be stuck on a boat in the middle of the ocean with thousands of these people. Like it's just not going to be a good idea.
Right.
I'll see y'all when you get back. She's like, I like white people, but it's
Well,
nope.
if something happens, she's either first overboard or first on the island that's eaten. That's just true.
I'm just saying, like that lady is, I think, the star of that entire documentary. Like, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
But at any rate, that was a very funny portion, and I do recommend that, documentary if you're into any of that, because. Yeah, I'm very anti-MLM just based on how I was raised, but my mom never was in any of them, but I spent my entire childhood going to all of the parties for those fucking things.
I was about to say, you've told me you went to a lot of Tupperware parties.
I went to every Pampered Chef, it was Pampered Chef and Home Interiors around here most, but there was also Stamping Up, there was... a jewelry one that I don't remember, Jamberry, like all that bullshit. And you just sort of sat there going, we don't need any of this overpriced bullshit. It's kind of stupid, but like... mom's gonna feel guilty and have to buy something. Like my dad still has home interior candles that my mom purchased, like cases of them, and they're great candles, don't get me wrong, but like they were so fucking expensive for what they were. I don't know, the whole MLM pyramid schemey kind of situation was never something that I vibed with, so I've never been a part of one. My mom never was, but I've spent my childhood going to those fucking parties, and like I have animosity towards them, so but at any rate, if you're interested in that kind of thing, check that documentary out. It is really neat. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Go ahead.
So
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Yeah, I do have some resentment in my heart from how much money and time we wasted going to those parties when I was a kid. But
I'm just sorry I said anything about Lula Rich, Leah.
I'm sorry. But yeah, let's go on and let's talk about Dan Tondevald and how he fucked over a poor old lady. Well, actually a very rich old lady, but at any rate. So, there was this heiress woman, and her name was Ellen McClung Berry, and she is related to like the Berry College berries.
Good God.
Yeah. Some of the information I got about her was from that college's, like, here's the list of the people that are in the Berry family. But anyway, Ellen McClung Berry, and she was a wealthy heiress living in Knoxville, Tennessee. And actually her great-great-grandfather was the founder of Knoxville, so... they've been rich for a while. So the story starts with the fact that she had been widowed, and her son... So when her son was 18 years old in 1951, his name was Hugh Berry, he had some mental illness issues, and he went into this psychotic rage over his inheritance or lack thereof, and he goes into this episode and he murders his grandmother.
Good God.
He is evaluated psychiatrically by the court, and he is ruled mentally incompetent to stand trial. That no one really knows specifically what happens to him after that trial, or after the lack of trial happened. But the rumors were that he was lobotomized and sent to live in a psychiatric facility in Mexico. And then years later, they were told that he died of pneumonia there. Some people think that he actually committed suicide. Other people say he got killed in a prison riot kind of situation. Like, there's a lot of really really history behind her son specifically. But as far as we know, at the time that this scam artist comes into her life, her son's dead, her husband's dead. She's had a lot of tragic bullshit happen in her life, and she's just kind of a sad old lady with lots and lots of money. So I don't feel too bad for her, but sad old lady. So this guy, Dan Tondevald, shows up mysteriously in 1978. Apparently he had been, like I said, the details are incredibly murky as to how he shows up in her life in the first place, but apparently they had been corresponding with each other through the mail for quite some time. Sometimes he introduced himself as her godson. Some people said that he introduced himself as a friend of the son Hugh. But either way, he kind of weaseled his way into her family, and he claimed that he was from Denmark. Not true, by the way. He claimed that he was from Denmark. He pretended to be very upper crust and polite, and
Imagine a time in our history when Denmark was considered exotic. I'm from Denmark. Oh, mysterious.
I think Danish people are cool.
Yeah, I think they're cool too, but if that's how you get in the door, it's not I'm from Morocco. No, it's Denmark. I'm Dutch.
Yeah, it works. Anyway, so basically, he shows up, he gets on her good side, and eventually he slowly takes over the running of her estates. Because after her husband passes away in 1978, she's completely alone, and he shows up just a couple months later. He's got his mark. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's in the long con to get all of her money, basically. So eventually he moves into her guest house and takes over all of the operations of her estate. And they hang out. He's like the polite son kind of situation. And eventually in 1982, she ends up giving him power of attorney over herself and her estate, which is the fucking worst idea that anybody could ever have, period. Don't do that, especially not to someone that you don't explicitly know. And I'm sure she was convinced that he was this nice, kind, wonderful person that he was making himself out to be. But spoiler alert, turns out not so much. So she is so happy with him, how kind he's been to her, how helpful he's been to her, that in 1983, she ends up buying millions of dollars worth of, I think it was 1.2 or $3 million she spent on 8 horses for him, because he said that he was a horse breeder and he wanted to breed horses on her estate for her, and he just loved horses, and he wanted to get into it, but he didn't have enough money to. So she spent, like I said, over $1 million on these horses for him to just, have a hobby, I suppose. So he kept them on her land, and he named all 8 horses after her, just like little slight punny variations of her name, but all of the horses were named after her.
Jesus Christ.
And all of her old lady rich friends were like, that's a bit weird. You spent a fuck ton of money on horses and you have absolutely no interest interest in horses yourself, it's a bit strange. But she was like, $1 million is no sweat off my back. He's a nice kid. He deserves the $1 million worth of horses. So just let him have fun. And everybody was like, okay. Seems sketch, but you do you, boo. She probably shouldn't have done her, boo.
No.
No.
Not at all.
So unfortunately, in 1984, he talks her into taking the winter, like vacationing for the winter in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh.
And before she leaves for this vacation in Charleston, he ends up putting out a classified ad for a chauffeur to take her around Charleston. You know, he made sure that he was asking for men that were single, and he.
Oh God, what happened there? Are you okay?
I'm sorry. Sitting in the rain is detrimental to your health. Weirdly enough. Anyway, sorry about that.
Okay.
Ooh. But anyway, so he puts out this classified ad for a chauffeur. He's asking for men that are single, and he requires them to submit a photograph, which is a little weird, but it'll come back into it later. So he placed this ad in the Charleston papers, and ends up hiring a chauffeur for her and all of that. And she takes this vacation in Charleston. She spends 4 months living the high life in Charleston. Excuse me. And then, eventually the vacation's over and she ends up, flying back to Knoxville with her new chauffeur, whatever. And, everything is supposed to be okay. But when she shows back up on March the 31st of 1985 to her estate from vacation, she realized that this fucking asshole has spent her entire fortune. Has taken, all of the bank accounts have been drained, all of the credit cards have been maxed out.
Nice.
Everything that was valuable in her home has been sold. It's gone. Her entire livelihood is gone. And while all of her shit...
The fucking Dutch?
Yeah, the Dutch.
Those assholes.
He's not Dutch, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah, but...
Eventually, so this guy has been, like I said, in these 4 months that she's been gone, he's completely stripped the entire estate of everything useful, wealth, stole everything. And he decided to take his own little vacation. So he is vacationing with her money on Fripp Island, which is an exclusive resort island south of Charleston. And he is spending all of this money and having the grand old time that he apparently has been planning for years to have anyway. And eventually he gets told that, these credit cards are over their limits. And so he's like, oh, time to get the hell out of Dodge. So after he realizes that all of the money is gone, all of the credit cards were, maxed out, he leaves his hotel room without telling anybody that he's going anywhere. So he is gone. The next day, the housekeeping finds a suicide note and a last will and testament in the room. But nobody knows where the guy is. Nobody, he didn't commit suicide in the hotel anywhere. They hadn't found a body, but there's a suicide note and a will. And so they're like, okay, this is fucking weird, but whatever. But 2 weeks later, a body was found in a nearby swamp, shot in the dark.
Oh God, I didn't realize we were getting up on it. Okay.
How had the body been killed? Had it been killed A, via poison, B, gunshot, or C, strangulation?
You said it was in a swamp?
A swamp.
Found in a swamp? I believe that it was strangled and thrown in that swamp.
You're incorrect.
God damn it, Leah. Oh, I'm going to find it. You can do what you need to do, but let's... There we go.
All right. He was the body was actually shot once in the back of the head. And an antique firearm that belonged to Miss Berry was found next to the body. And weirdly, there was also a dead dog nearby, but I'm not sure if that had anything
Sounds
to do
unrelated.
with that body or if it was just like there was a
Yeah. There was a
dead
dog
dog
walking through the
somewhere.
swamp that died.
Yeah.
That sounds
I'm
unrelated.
not sure. There was no identification on the body itself, but the body had all of Ellen's credit cards in its wallet. And so one of the security guards from the resort identified the body as Dan Tondevald. But weirdly, the body was really decomposed because it had been in a swamp for 2 weeks. So the fact that they identified him as a little iffy.
Yeah.
Because apparently the decay of the body was quite a bit. And, you know.
I mean, the only thing I could think is dental records.
Yeah, I was going to say they would have to look at dental records. But they specifically say that one of the security guards that had seen this guy parading around the island was the one that came in and said, yeah, that's him. So I don't know if they did any further.
They just declared it. It was easier.
As I say, it's the 80s. I don't know that they had a lot of forensic technology at the time.
Yeah.
So, like, really know if it was him or not. But like I said, it was one shot to the back of the head. And who commits suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head? Like, that's fucking weird. Like, yeah, it's just weird. That's not generally, if you shoot yourself, it's generally, from the front, not from the back. So people argue that, like, there was no way that he could have even shot himself from the angle that he was shot.
Yeah.
So if it was a suicide, something's fucking weird and going on. And there's a lot of speculation over.
Well, I mean, was there a gun by him?
Yeah, there was that antique gun that belonged to Ellen.
You said that. I'm sorry. I got a text message. I had to look at immediately. But I'm just saying that makes absolutely no sense.
Correct. And
I'm agreeing with you.
The people that were in charge were like, oh, I guess this is him. That there was a suicide note. We found the body. He's got all the hallmarks of being that guy. So they cremated the body like it requested in the suicide note. The suicide note was like, hey, yeah, I'm about to go kill myself. When you find the body, like, cremate me, please. And instead of, like, not destroying all of the physical evidence in this case, they just cremated him like the note said.
Yeah.
Just burned it all up.
Well, like, you can do that later once you get all the information that you need.
But they just immediately, like, cremated the body, and so the death was ruled a suicide. But most people were not convinced that A, that it was suicide, or B, that it was actually him that died. Because a lot of people believe that the classified ad that he put out in Charleston was for, like, the reason he asked for those pictures was he was looking for someone that was the same body size and the same race and general age as him, so he could have a body to abandon, so he could, like, basically so he was trying to find someone to die in his place so he could go off with all of the money that he stole from her and live somewhere else under an assumed name. He was trying to find an out, and the out was to fake his own death with someone else's body, So the theory is that he took the man to the swamp that, like I said, he had hired for that specific reason, killed him by shooting him in the back of the head, then planted the gun and all of the credit cards on the body so people would think it was him. So that's sort of where the mystery ends. People don't know if it was actually him that was found in the swamp or if he had killed someone else, planted the evidence, and moved on, with all of her money. A little weird. There was speculation at the time that the Dan Tondevald was actually her son, who, had just come back from Mexico or whatever. And that's why. But, I mean, that falls apart very easily because they don't really look the same. And B...
He was Dutch.
He was not Dutch, but they were like, we can't find any records of who this guy is and whatever. But eventually they find that he was actually, they found a resume, like a resume of his from like the estate, like they found some of his documents and like the house that he was living in on her estate. And the resume listed his hometown as Las Vegas, and they end up finding a Las Vegas high school yearbook, and it actually has him, like a young him, in there. And they're pretty sure that that was the guy that, you know, so they realize that he is in fact not Dutch. He is just from Nevada. And
what happens in Denmark stays in Denmark,
I suppose. But yeah, so it's just this big mystery. Did he actually, you know, die in the swamp by suicide, or did he find someone that looked just enough like him to be recognized as him after it was decomposed?
I just think somebody killed him in the swamp, and or killed him and took him to the swamp and left the gun. It's not a suicide 100%.
I would say, and yeah, that's also a possibility that she realized, hired someone to go fuck him up, which she obviously denies and doesn't think is
somebody killed that person and dumped them in the swamp.
Yeah, but who is the person is the yeah.
Right. Who cares? Fuck that guy. It wasn't a suicide, but fuck him.
Yeah.
That's all that I have to say.
But yeah, so there's not really a lot more information about it. I looked around, and as far as I know, that was for the most part where that ended. There's no good final ending of that mystery. It's still a mystery for those parts of it. And eventually Ellen Barry had to sell all of the rest of the assets that she had left, and she moved into a little apartment in Jefferson City, Tennessee, where she lived until she died in 1992 at the age of 98. So that's the sad eventuality of what happened to this incredibly rich woman that trusted this crazy dude. So yeah, don't give power of attorney to randos.
Yeah, I don't know why you would do that. Like, period.
I mean, I understand like that people are very gullible, and old people specifically are very scammable. But like, ma'am, you have a lot of money. You should have like hired advisors that could have told you, hey, maybe we don't do that. But
and you also don't know this person like at all.
No. So like I said, but I've always found that to be a very interesting, weird story, just because the fact that someone could be such a smooth talker and could get in so quickly and well with this person that they don't realize that they've been robbed blind, you know? It's weird. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, that was from, like I said, an episode of Unsolved Mysteries that aired in 1991 on December the 4th for the first time. Yeah, I watched that show a lot with my family, and I remember the story from when I was a kid. But yeah, the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, the Berry College historical page, and then Wikipedia, because you got to have Wikipedia.
Oh, those
at
are your
least
sources?
Once. Yes, those are my sources.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say now. I enjoy the scam artist stories like too much. I'm invested, and that guy definitely got what was coming to him. Because I don't think he got away. I think that was him.
You do think that it was him in the swamp?
Yeah, I think someone killed him.
See, and I don't. I think that it was like a body double that he ended up killing and leaving with all of the rest of the money.
You think so? Well, I don't know. Maybe. Especially since they didn't do any kind of investigating.
I was going to say, the police work on this particular situation was just very like, oh, well, he said he was gonna kill himself, and here's a dude that looks like him with stuff that looks like his.
Yep.
Close enough. Burn it.
Well, all right. Well, I don't know. No. I don't know.
Whatever.
I mean, now I want to go listen to Swindled again. So, just do a toast, and we'll get into what we've got left, I guess.
Okay. Well, everybody hoist your Oscar the Grouch mug high into the sky.
Or your Nicolas Cage ghost mug.
We're going to toast. Let's see. Leaving out your haunted snacks after a haunted dance is definitely the way you end up with all...
Whoa.
Let me try that again.
Whoa.
Leaving out your haunted snacks after a haunted dance is definitely the way you end up with all the haunted ants.
Oh, very cute, Leah.
Thanks.
God damn it.
And then, don't let a rando ever have your power of attorney unless you're into taking on a poverty-stricken journey. A drink.
Drink, everybody. Oh, yeah, I should probably do that.
Also, I just realized that my Oscar the Grouch mug is bright green, and I bet just the face is going to end up just sort of hovering near my face, drinking from it.
Oh, my God, that's going to be amazing in the video. I didn't think about that. That's just a pure green mug with Oscar the Grouch's face on it.
Yep.
Oh, I hope that happens.
Floating Grouch face.
I hope that happens. Oh, well, I just remembered another Norm Macdonald joke from that Larry King episode of Norm Macdonald Live that I want to tell you specifically, Leah.
Okay.
That I think that you won't find funny, but I'm going to enjoy telling it to you.
Okay, go ahead.
So you know how to come up with your porn name? Like everybody talks about, it's the animal that you had, your pet, as a child and the street that you grew up on. Well, it turns out that mine is Dick Fuckington. I grew up on Fuckington Crescent. You don't think that's funny? I enjoy telling it to you because of that reaction. That's why I like doing these things for you.
That would make mine Stormin' Norman Morningside.
Oh, Leah. Oh, that is way better than the joke version of Dick Fuckington. That is way better.
Because the first pet that I had as a child was Stormin' Norman, who was a dachshund named after the Korean War veteran. And then,
Leah.
we lived on Morningside Drive, so Stormin' Norman Morningside.
It's just so funny to me that after he tells the joke, he goes, I lived on Fuckington Crescent. And then you're like, well, mine's Storm and Norman Morningside. And that is way better.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
And then if you, a little bit further along in my adolescence, it would be Braveheart Parker, so.
Oh, see, that's not bad at all. That's not bad whatsoever. The thing is that if we're going to do the actual thing, because like that was the joke version, of course. Mine was Sparky Richardson.
Not as good.
Oh, Leah. Come on, you wouldn't see a porno starring Sparky. You wouldn't see Queso Tits starring Sparky Richardson. Come on, Leah. Come on.
I still think Stormin' Norman Morningside is.
But then as I got older, like I also had Ray Zephyr. That's pretty good too. Mm-hmm. Come on now. Come on now. Or actually, I've heard it done with like your middle name too. So mine would have been Blaine Zephyr. That's pretty good too. Come on now. That's a porn name.
Mine's Ashley Parker. Just sounds like an heiress. It's
not bad at all, but it's actually with a GH.
Yeah, it is.
Which fucks people up.
It does.
Because it's Lee, like Leigh.
Yeah.
So it's Ashley Parker. And then people go, oh.
Yeah. Fancy.
She sounds like she's got some queso tits.
Yeah, most definitely.
Not queso covered tits. Oh no, they are queso tits.
Anyway.
All right, well, I guess I've had enough of my jokes, and that it's time for the outro.
All right.
Do you agree with that?
Sure.
Well, y'all, Leah's had enough, and we're also after time already, so this will be going up kind of late.
Yeah.
But let's just do it.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for listening. Follow us on all of your social media platforms. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. Go to the merch store. It'll be in the episode description, but it's on Spreadshirt, I believe is the web. For some reason, I don't have it, but it's in the episode notes. So whatever platform you're on, just click the link. Go there and buy you some stuff if you want to. Send us a postcard to the address that you got earlier. P.O. Box 1743, Hartselle, Alabama 35640. I believe that's everything. Did I miss something? I feel like I missed something.
It's fine.
You're right. It's past time to post the episode. So,
excellent.
We will see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.